Radio Rahim here with the alien, the executioner, the middleweight legend, Bernard Hopkins. On a week, we are looking at two middleweights that have the opportunity to etch their name in stone in boxing history. And in a unique way, you're connected to this fight. Beyond the promotion, beyond Golden Boy and all that, we know that Triple G on Saturday night not only deigns to beat Canelo, but also to break your record for most consecutive defenses of that middleweight title. Are you rooting for him or against him based solely on that record that you hold and some people thought might never be broken?
Well, I'm rooting for history, and if history say he breaks it, then I'm with it, and if history say he doesn't break it, then I'm with that, of course, but with a little bit more smile on my face. I think when you look at eras, and you look at mine, and you look at Triple G's, and you look at who those defenses was against, I'm proud of my era. I'm proud of making 20 defenses in my era the way it was, based on the people that was there for me to fight. Now, history would say, okay, he got 21, and they would look at his record and see three guys they recognize. That could be debated. But defenses are defenses. I'm no hater. But what I am is a quality type of guy. A lot of stuff is a lot, but when you look at less, but the quality of it, and I think that will be debated. When you look at what record's been broke, where record's been set, I will not get into a cat fight. I will not get into any debate about whether it's legit or not legit. One thing about history, history will be debated by people as time go on, even when I'm dead in my grave. And when you look at whether I'm rooting for him, that is Triple G, or rooting for Canelo, who I'm tied into, who would ever thought just like this wouldn't be broken or attempt to be breaking less than 20 years or more? Who would thought that I'll be still tied in and bored in the middleweight conversation today based on one fight? Based on one fight, Loretta, here I am, injected, pushed in, right? And I welcome the push to talk about the middleweight division that I ruled years back. Okay. When I look at this fight, I look at this fight as being a unification. A unification is unification. Fans in history would debate the quality versus quantity. And I say this, I'd rather be in this position as a promoter, as a former middleweight champion, former 20 defense record, set a record, broke records. I'd rather be in this position with Canelo at the end defending my record for me. See, what's great about this moment here, if they thought I was going to just be exit out of boxing in the middleweight division and we finally won't hear from him anymore, I'm back. Loretta, who would think that Bernard would be talked about in the middleweight division again, and you thought I was gone, right? I'm like a ghost.
I gotta tell you,
I'm like a ghetto roach. You step on it and the roach don't die. He gets up and he keep crawling. See, nobody here that if they ever never been in the ghetto, you don't understand about you don't understand about if you don't experience or haven't experienced, you can step on it and they might trickle, and they keep crawling, they get up, and you be like, I done stepped on it for 10 times.
Nobody that fought as long as you did we think we'd get rid of that easy.
Well, what unique situation to be on the business side, but also to be on the history making or breaking side. You know what? This wasn't planned by me. This was already written down for it to happen. I'd rather be in this position with Canelo, defending because really he's defending my legacy and my title defense. So now I got a guy that I'm involved in a company that I'm involved in 16, 17 years, and my professionalism record. History is online. I don't think any athlete or fighter ever been in this situation. If you look back, I don't think they've been deep in this situation. Yeah, fighters had records, they've been broken, but I don't think from one end to the next, people really didn't think about, like, you know, I'm wrapped up in this thing whether I wanted to be wrapped up or not.
Well, let's go underneath the wrapping, because you mentioned quite a few things in that answer. One of them being the comparison in eras, and the guys who may be recognized on Triple G's record and guys who may not. Well, there's no question that Canelo will be recognized as one of those people that you notice on the record.
Daniel Jacobs will be recognized.
Daniel Jacobs will be recognized. Triple G has already tied your record. I'm curious where you find him ranked amongst all-time middleweights. And then, curiously enough, people forget that this is really Canelo's only his second fight, a legitimate at middleweight, 160 pounds. Only a second fight. But he's one of the, if not the most recognized guy on Triple G's record. So where do you rank him now as a middleweight, the two guys respectively?
Well, let's deal with Triple G first. I don't rate Triple G as one of the top 10, maybe top 15, top 20. You take away the 20 defenses, and this ain't to beat him up. Look, he's undefeated for a reason. He got 20 defenses, whether the tomato cans line up or not. But there's always a but. When you start looking at the history of fighters, the Hagglers, the Carlos Monzon, these guys fought killers at 15-round fights. And then Bernard Hopkins comes beyond the Hagler era, right? And then you say, okay, here's Triple G. Now you got to go ahead and look at, okay, the era, the time, the slots, the things of the nature of the politics and this and that. Listen, Triple G is a worthy guy, no question. I'm not going to water down what he can do, how dangerous. He can fight. He can flat out fight and has a championship mentality. And I'm definitely not going to get into the debate whether my historic record compared to his, I'll be playing myself. I'll really be playing myself to put my record up compared to wherever he fought, his era, whatever. I think people know that hands down. But what do this fight means for the middleweight division? It gives it hype. It gives it awareness. It brings the division that I'm proud of. It brings it into the light to be talked about. So on that note, as a promoter, as a diehard boxing fan, I would never take the light from the middleweight division, especially that division, based on my feelings, based on what I believe, what I don't believe. But I do want to touch on certain things for facts. It's all facts from my perspective and a whole lot of people that can back it up. On the other end, I got to speak for the buzz is about the division that made me, the division that's in history. And that division need to be respected. So on that note, the business side, the promoter side, the respect for the middleweight division that I hand over the baton saying, hey, look, this man made 20 defenses. As I told Dan Raphael and other people, well, he didn't fight this, he didn't fight that. No problem. The record speaks for itself or reflects itself. But the middleweight division, the 20 defenses, his era is era. He shouldn't get punished for his era. I'm not going to punish him for it. Let's see if he wins, because I'd rather be in this position with my guy defending my record. Canelo is fighting for his legacy, fighting for his family, fighting for what he believes he's the better fighter, and to clear up any scrutiny from the last fight. I have an agenda why he should win and why I want him to win is because he's defending my legacy.
So where does the guy who's fought only once in the middleweight division and is somehow defending your legacy, who still holds, or at least tied for the most title defenses in this division, where does he rank amongst all-time middleweights?
Let's talk about Canelo, because I gave you Triple G.
Right.
He rates way under 15. I say somewhere in the early, coming up the back rear end, the 20s. You have to put Canelo between 17, 18, 19, 20, as high as maybe 16, until he do something to earn that. And right now, he has an opportunity on the 15th, this Saturday. He has an opportunity to jump all the way up at least 15, 14, 13, and make defenses of that belt. How long he keep it dictate how long he become recognized as one of the legendary middleweight champions. Ready or Rahim, you said one thing is key. You said he only fought 2 fights at middleweight. That's key. I don't think anybody should be catapulted up to a ladder of one of the all-time great middleweights based on only fighting in the division twice. But winning Saturday is such a big boost that it will start a conversation amongst who he fight next after he beat. I said if. I mean when he beat, not if. Triple G Saturday will now, based on him defending it, based on him, Canelo, defending it, fighting the quality guys that people respect. And I think that will now put him in that position of conversation.
As this conversation has leaned towards comparison and errors in fighters in the middleweight division, with the knockout ratio that Triple G enjoys, a lot of people, especially early in his career, were likening him to Hagler, who you mentioned. Hagler, it was Hagler because of the power.
That must be the millennials saying that, because nobody in their right mind.
But let me get through it and then see if it's still a crazy thing.
Nobody in their right mind. Nobody in their right mind. Now, there's one thing of promoting boxing and promoting the middleweight division, and you can exaggerate a little bit, have some fun. I understand this is a fun time in some conversations that you have to. This was called fun.
I knew it was going to offend you.
When you say certain things, when you talk about Marvin Hagler and Triple G, it's disrespectful to Marvin Hagler.
Is it disrespectful to talk about Sugar Ray Leonard and Canelo Alvarez? Because these guys, where I'm going they aspire to be like those fighters. I think
they might be inspired. When I mention Ray Leonard and I mention what Canelo needs to do, it's take a page out of history. If you take a page and you're a fighter today, I would take out a page out of what Roy Jones did and his great moments. I would take a page what Bernard did in his great moments. I would take a page what Muhammad Ali the Great did in his moments. Not be like them, but take a page and be yourself. That's what I said. And when I mentioned Ray Leonard, I mentioned what? If Canelo can razzle-dazzle caveman, Triple G, right? The caveman mentality of the way he fights, then he would took a page out of Ray Leonard's pat, 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 and Hagler never get the big bomb off. Hagler is swinging him. He's swinging him, and that's what? Round go by, 2 go by, 3 go by, 4 go by, and now the Grand Slam hitter looking for that one big punch. When a puncher gets behind the 8 ball, a puncher get desperate, a puncher get wild, and he looking for one punch, and then you're in the 12th round, and it's over. He ran out of time. That's what I mean by take a page out of a book. When you start talking about is caveman Triple G, Marvin Hagler in the same voice, it's disrespectful to Marvin. It's not even hype. It comes to a point when certain things are just disrespectful. I mean, it is. It is, in my opinion, your opinion, we are having fun, but I know when the fun not to have fun. I know when to cut the fun shit out and be like, hold up, wait a minute. Now, you talking about Marvin, you got a little sensitive now. You're talking about Marvin Hagler. When you start talking about Marvin Hagler, you start talking about Jim Brown versus these guys that running because athleticism and new shoes and some substance that they had, certain things have to be left alone. Certain legacy, you just can't, like Ray Robinson, like you just can't, like, don't even touch that. You're embarrassing yourself. Now, if you want to have fun, you got to stick and be disciplined to stick to the topics that you just having fun conversation. But don't never mention Marvin Hagler and Triple G in the same breath. It's disrespectful to Marvin Hagler.
On the last note on Triple G Canelo for right now, styles make fights is the biggest cliche in boxing. Canelo it was criticized, even by some people who thought the draw was legitimate. Most people didn't, but those who did still said he outboxed him, and but we were looking for what they call Mexican style. We were looking for the war that he promised. I'm going to go knock him out, this, that, and the other. Well, they're both saying the same thing again. Do you feel like Canelo can embody that legacy that you mentioned, fighting defensively, or does he need, if not to trade with the Bomber, at least to have an offensive-minded type of performance?
Well, I got to promote the show that's been built around Bernard Hopkins with a good budget. It's perfect execution through HBO with Christian Waters, who going to have the breakdown from my perspective with the cool uncle look, the great beard, the black shirt, the jeans, Chucks, and I'm actually going to spit that between now and Friday leading up to the fight on my prediction of how the fight's going to be, from my perspective, how it's going to be broken down. Speed kills, and Canelo is in position right now. If you look at Canelo, and I heard the question that a reporter asked, he's not bulky, he's not big. See, the first fight he was looking for strength, big, to be able to withstand punches, to be able to withstand what? The onslaught of Triple G, the pressure, the caveman mentality. Clobber you, clobber you, clobber you, and make you surrender. But one thing about speed, one thing about Canelo learned this from Mayweather when he fought him. I never seen a Mexican fight like that until I seen him. Really didn't. I looked at Chavez fight, senior. I looked at Chavez Jr. I looked at the Spanish fighters, even the late, great Hector Camacho. I looked at a lot of Latin fighters, and they didn't fight like we do in the hood. They didn't roll. They didn't do. That's going to be a beneficial. That's going to be very beneficial for Canelo. We've seen it in the first fight. He made him miss. He made him pay. When Canelo fight this fight and the way he looked today and the way he been training, I can't give up. It ain't no secret. I can't give up what I already know. It's not about being big. It has nothing to do with whether you believe it or not, the controversy. But what that means is that Canelo knows that speed from his youth, his combinations, his good defense make a good offense. Triple G doesn't have a good defense. Caveman didn't need one. He got hit with everything but the kitchen sink. One thing that anybody would tell you, even his handlers, he don't have a good defense. We all know that. He's an offensive fighter. He don't have a reverse in his car. Now we got to make him realize that you bought a car with just so coming forward. How do you figure this out and you're getting beat up every time you come? And you're not getting punched hard. You're just getting peck, 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 peck where it's irritating you. It's like somebody got a needle and you're tired and you can't touch that feather, hitting your nose, and you can't even scratch it. You ever had an itch that you couldn't scratch? Not that one down there. I'm talking about the one on your head. You ever had an itch you couldn't scratch? That could be the most annoying thing, to have an itch that you can't get to, and you want to get to it bad, but you got a lot of people in front of you, and you don't want to scratch there.
Lastly,
that's what it is.
Lastly, I'm moving away from Triple G Canelo because I have to get your assessment of this fight. And don't get offended because this fighter, this fighter likens himself in a way to you. Tyson Fury feels like he's the kind of technical fighter that can mug a guy, take him out of his game, and win a fight with a big bomber or a boxer, like you're talking about. So when we are looking forward to Wilder Fury, there's a big debate as to whether or not he can do that to Wilder, or Wilder's big bomb, like you talk about, a big puncher, can beat him. Please give me your assessment of that matchup.
I like Wilder because of his energy, because he believes his time. He really wants Joshua, which I think is a fight that's dangerous for him. But in the same token, if you want to be great, you got to do great things. I like Wilder by stoppage. I think Wilder has enough heart, he has enough skills, and he's very, very unorthodox. No, it doesn't look pretty. Sometimes his feet is offset, don't know where he at, but he can flat out fight, and that's what I count. That's what counts to me, and he has skills. So I like Wilder to beat Fury.
Radio Rahim with the executioner, the alien.
And we didn't agree on 90%, but we did get 10 in.
And that 10% is all we need, because you give me all the time and all the love, respect, man. I appreciate it, champ. Radio Rahim.
Give me that belt, y'all. Radio Rahim, man.
Well, just in case they didn't recognize me. Radio Rahim with Bernard Hopkins.
Peace.